All right, so get ready, because today we are diving into a really unsettling corner of history, one that connects Wall Street to the rise of Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it's a side of history that I think a lot of people aren't aware of.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's laid out in Antony Sutton's book, Wall Street and Hitler.
Okay.
And his argument, his basic argument is that certain American corporations, particularly those with deep ties to Wall Street, played a direct role in helping Hitler rise to power.
So we're not just talking about some vague connection here.
No.
Sutton is making a bold claim, and he's backing it up with evidence.
Oh, yeah, he's gone deep
Wow.
into financial records, corporate meeting minutes, government archives to paint this really troubling picture.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going beyond the surface level here.
Yeah, and that's where the story gets really interesting.
Yeah.
See, after World War I, Germany was just in shambles, economically speaking.
Oh, yeah.
War reparations had crippled their economy, and then came the Dawes Plan in 1924, and then the Young Plan in 1928.
And on the surface, these plans seemed like lifelines, right?
Huh?
Offering loans to help rebuild Germany.
Exactly.
It seemed like a pretty generous move by the U.S., at least on the surface.
Yeah, so Sutton digs deeper, and he finds that these plans were largely orchestrated by Wall Street bankers.
Oh, really?
The Dawes Plan, for example, had J.P. Morgan's fingerprints all over it.
Wow.
And sure, they were lending money, but they were making a killing off the interest on those loans.
Of course.
And it wasn't just about the money, though, although that was certainly a major factor.
All right, so you're saying there was more to it than just Wall Street seeing an opportunity to profit from Germany's misfortune.
Yeah, precisely. Sutton unveils this web of connections and motivations that go beyond simple economics.
Yeah.
It's about influence, it's about control, it's about leveraging the situation to shape outcomes.
So how does this tie back into Hitler and the Nazi Party?
Well, this is where it gets really unsettling.
Okay.
Sutton argues that a large chunk of these loans, the ones that were intended for reconstruction, they ended up in the coffers of Germany's industrial giants.
Boy.
Companies like IG Farben, which
Yeah.
was this massive chemical company, and Vereinigtes Stahlwerk, a steel behemoth.
And these companies were key players in Germany's industrial complex, right?
Absolutely. They became vital to the Nazi war machine just a few years later. So you have American money funneled through Wall Street, essentially helping to build up the companies that would later arm Hitler's military.
It's mind-blowing to think about that chain of events.
Yeah.
American money intended for rebuilding ending up fueling the Nazi war machine.
Yeah.
It's a dark irony, to say the least. And Sutton's research reveals some even more disturbing details.
Yeah.
He dives deep into IG Farben,
Right.
which was the world's largest chemical company before World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Their ties to the Nazi regime were deep and multifaceted.
Yes. Very deep.
So they were in bed with the Nazis, but were they really that important to the Nazi war effort?
I mean, important doesn't even begin to cover it.
Yeah,
IG Farben wasn't just financially backing Hitler.
right.
They were supplying crucial materials for the Nazi war effort. Think
Oh.
synthetic rubber, explosives, and most disturbingly, tetraethyl lead.
Tetraethyl lead.
Yeah.
Now, why does that sound familiar?
Well, because it's better known as the additive in leaded gasoline.
Oh, right.
And guess what was essential for producing high-octane aviation fuel, the kind that powered the Luftwaffe?
You're kidding. So this seemingly mundane chemical was actually a key ingredient in the Nazi Air Force.
You got it.
Oh.
And get this, Sutton found evidence that Standard Oil of New Jersey, an American company, shared the technology for producing this fuel additive with IG Farben.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You're telling me that an American company, knowing full well about Germany's military ambitions,
Right.
helped them develop better aviation fuel.
Right.
That's a whole other level of messed up.
It really is, and it doesn't end there.
Oh, no.
Sutton's book also uncovers troubling ties to other American corporate giants, including General Electric.
General Electric, what were they involved in?
So through their subsidiary, International General Electric, or IGE,
Right.
they had a significant ownership stake in German General Electric, known as AEG.
So they had a financial interest in a German company. Was that really so unusual back then?
Not necessarily, but what is unusual is the level of direct financial support AEG provided to Hitler.
Really?
They even funneled funds to the Nazi Party during the crucial 1933 election,
Wow.
the one that brought them to power.
So you're saying General Electric, albeit indirectly, was essentially helping to bankroll Hitler's rise to power.
That's what Sutton's research suggests.
Wow.
And it gets even more complex when you factor in the Ford Motor Company.
Well, Henry Ford's anti-Semitism was no secret, even back then.
Right.
It's a known fact that he had some admiration for Hitler in the early days.
Absolutely. And Sutton doesn't shy away from exposing some shocking revelations about the extent of Ford's support for Hitler.
Like what?
We're talking about reports of Ford sending financial aid to Hitler as early as 1922, even having his portrait displayed in Hitler's office.
That's just disturbing on so many levels, but surely the company itself didn't endorse any of this.
Well, that's where it gets murky.
Okay,
While Henry Ford's personal views were one thing,
right.
Sutton presents evidence suggesting that the Ford Motor Company, under Edsel Ford's leadership, continued conducting business with Nazi Germany throughout World War II.
You're saying they were profiting from business dealings with the Nazis during the war. It just keeps getting worse?
And not only that, but there's evidence that they even celebrated the profits they were raking in from their German subsidiary,
Oh my God.
Ford Work, while it was actively supporting the Nazi war effort.
This is insane. We're talking about some of America's biggest names in business. Standard Oil, General Electric, Ford, all allegedly intertwined in this web of financial and technological support for Hitler.
Yeah.
It's like a horrible prequel to a superhero movie, only it's all too real.
That's a great way to put it, and that's the crux of Sutton's argument.
Right,
He's
yeah.
arguing that these weren't isolated incidents,
Right.
but rather symptoms of a systemic issue.
Okay.
A system where the pursuit of profit and maintaining a competitive edge, even at the cost of aiding a dangerous regime, overshadowed any moral considerations.
It's a tough pill to swallow. Are you suggesting that these individuals and corporations were so blinded by their greed that they willingly played a part in Hitler's rise to power?
I think Sutton doesn't shy away from posing that very question.
Wow.
He makes it very clear that the actions of these corporations and the individuals at the helm had consequences that extended far beyond profit margins and balance sheets.
Right.
They had a real-world impact and not a positive one.
It's a stark reminder that history isn't always black and white. Sometimes it's painted in shades of gray.
Yeah.
And those shades can be pretty damn dark. So we've uncovered this deeply unsettling connection between American corporations and the rise of Hitler. But this isn't just ancient history, right?
Right, exactly.
What does this all mean for us today?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think Sutton's book is such a powerful reminder that history has a way of rolling, if not repeating itself.
Oh, absolutely.
The specific players may change, but the underlying dynamics of power, profit, morality, they remain remarkably consistent.
It makes you think twice about the companies we interact with every day, the products we consume, the global supply chains that drive our modern world,
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, are there uncomfortable truths lurking behind the brands we trust and the conveniences we take for granted?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the ethical dilemmas surrounding industries today that might be entangled with regimes or practices that raise serious red flags.
You're talking about things like conflict minerals,
Yes.
fast fashion,
Exactly.
the environmental impact of certain industries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, take the tech industry, for example.
Okay.
The race to develop cutting-edge AI, the control of vast amounts of data,
Right.
the potential for these technologies to be used for surveillance or even warfare. I mean, it's a minefield of ethical considerations.
It's almost like we're living in a real-life science fiction novel, grappling with consequences we never could have imagined just a few decades ago.
It really is, and that's why I think Sutton's work on Wall Street and Hitler is so relevant today.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder that the pursuit of profit, technological advancement, or even national interests can have unintended and often devastating consequences.
It's a call to be more conscious consumers, more informed citizens, to ask hard questions about where our products come from, who benefits from our choices.
Absolutely. And we have more access to information than ever before.
That's right.
But that also means we have a greater responsibility to be discerning, to think critically about the narratives we're presented with.
It's about understanding that we're not just passive bystanders in this globalized world.
Right.
Our individual actions, our consumer choices, our investments, they all contribute to a larger system.
Exactly. And that awareness, that sense of shared responsibility is so crucial because history has shown us time and time again that complacency, apathy, turning a blind eye can have disastrous consequences.
This deep dive into Wall Street and Hitler has definitely left me with a lot to think about.
Yeah, me too.
It's a sobering reminder that power, whether it's political or corporate, demands constant scrutiny.
Absolutely. It's a call to action for all of us to be more informed, more engaged, and more willing to hold those in power accountable.
Because ultimately, the future is not preordained. It's shaped by the choices we make today.
Exactly.
And understanding the mistakes of the past, however unsettling they may be, is essential to creating a more just and equitable future.
Well said. It's about remembering that the pursuit of profit should never come at the expense of human dignity, justice, or the well-being of our planet.
I think it's a great place to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah,
This conversation about Wall Street and Hitler has been really eye-opening, and I think it's a story that challenges our assumptions, makes us question the narratives we've been told,
for sure.
and ultimately reminds us that the lessons of the past are more relevant today than ever before. So thank you so much for taking the time to unpack all of this with me.
It's been a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, we urge you to check out Antony Sutton's Wall Street and Hitler to delve even deeper into this unsettling chapter of history. And a huge thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive.